Alright, here we are. Welcome back to Y.E.S, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the newest album released by the Jonas Brothers. Without further ado, let's roll it. So this is the Jonas Brothers' sixth studio album, collaborating all together, the three of them, and it's titled The Album. Yeah, I'm getting I'm getting a little fed up with some of the lazy titles that artists give themselves. This is not frequent, but it does appear to be a thing for people who have achieved mainstream success after a while to just give very simple album titles. I don't know what it is. It's a little thing that I don't particularly like. It's a quirk, a pet peeve, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I digress. That's not the main point that I want to get across in this review here. What I would like to talk about is how much fun this album actually is. It's a pretty standard 12-track album. I like my albums kind of like that, 10 to 12. Sometimes I'm okay pushing it to 14. But this one does have kind of an interesting feature to it. There are a few songs in here, quite a few of them actually, that are under 2.5 minutes. And that can work out just fine. But you really need to care about pulling off the idea of what that song is. And I think for the most part, they did a good job with those songs. I think there are at least 2 songs in here where I can say, that sounded good, but I'm still yearning for like 20 more seconds, not even a whole minute, just like 20 more seconds of something else that would have just helped me remember the song a bit more. So there's just something there for the very short songs, which again, not too many. Just enough to be able to make me want to mention it here. One of the things that I really care about is the mood, the ambiance, the overall feel of the album. I mentioned fun. I would also describe this album as something that is great for a kickoff summer party kind of feel that the Jonas Brothers are going for. The other thing that I think is kind of interesting about this album is that I don't want to make this sound awkward or quasi-accusatory. This kind of feels like the Jonas Brothers' audition album to be accepted into mainstream, non-child Hollywood. That's kind of what it feels like. Just based on a few songs here that make it feel like they're trying to ditch the child Disney persona that they've had before. They're not going full throttle, censored kind of music here. Albeit, there's one song in here where I'm just like, wow, you went there. But I would say Jonas Brothers. I'm trying to say it that way. For some reason, they just don't call it the Jonas Brothers. I digress. Anyhow, the Jonas Brothers want to try and just make it seem like they're being taken more seriously as a band in a more mature instance of some kind. That's just the thing that I'm taking from the risks or the risques that they are inserting into their music. Again, I'm not trying to make it sound like this is the actual thing. I want to compliment the majority of this album. In fact, the first time I listened to this album, I had a blast. But the second time, when I'm really paying attention to everything that's being said and some of the production things that maybe just kind of went past your head when you were just enjoying the music in the moment, there are a few things in here that made me just come back to earth and realize these are the things that are going to help me understand how I'm going to recommend this album to my audience out there. As I did mention previously, the overall feel of the album reminds me of summertime. It's a free spirit, somewhat love, somewhat just wanting to go out and have fun kind of feel for a majority of the themes in this album. I'll give you 2 examples of the fun side that I think really embrace what I'm talking about. The first one is the second track in here called Montana Sky. And scrolling down into the 10th track, we have Summer Baby. Hopefully those little clips give you an idea of the mood and overall vibe that the majority of this album has to provide here. Now, luckily, this is something that I was a little bit concerned about, was are they going to switch anything up? Are they going to go down tempo at any point? They do. And I'm glad that they chose to do that, because I was a little concerned that we wouldn't be able to, lighten up a little bit as we're continuing to listen to this album. Track number 8, Vacation Eyes, is the perfect first example of slightly slowing down that tempo that we can experience here. And near the end, the 11th track, Little Bird, this one goes for more of an acoustic feel, and I think you'll enjoy it as much as I do. Now, having given you those highlights that, in my mind, I particularly think are worth bragging about, they do have 2 tracks in here that are their marketed singles, the first one being Wings. Let me pull up my notes over here. So in their marketed songs, these are the things that I wrote down. The first one being Wings, it's the 3rd track. It has plenty of interesting and engaging switch-ups throughout the song, but it is kind of one of those shorter songs that I mentioned earlier that I feel like something was just missing. Just give me a little bit more, and then it would have been really great. But nonetheless, I would revisit it. I would even put it in my playlist of the year. It's good. I enjoy it. Then the song Waffle House. They've been working on promoting this one a lot recently. This one, I would say its production progress is nice, is very nice. At the very end of the song, there's a lot that just gets kind of added on to it, and it feels like it's a nice touch at the end. The only thing about this song is that it doesn't actually use anything vulgar. It just has that implication. So if you have children who think Jonas Brothers are crystal clear clean, there's going to be a word that's quasi-censored in here 2 or 3 times. Probably not a kid song. It's an enjoyable song, but now this is kind of marketed towards the tween crowd that wants to have a little bit of that rebellious taste in their mouth. Now, about the commentary I mentioned earlier about the Hollywood audition kind of feel. The song Summer in the Hamptons. Yeah, this isn't a kid's song. Skip this song if your kids are in the car. In fact, if you have the downloaded digital version of it, erase this one from the rest of the album, and everything else should be just fine. Sort of. The only other song that I don't really particularly love all that much is the very last track, Walls, with Jon Bellion. There is an appeal to this song where I can understand other people enjoying it. I guess I might just be in the minority. It's not really something that I gravitated to all that much. There's this organ that's added that in other instances I would have enjoyed, but it just felt like there was a lot of unnecessary elements added to it. There's some Spanish lyricism, which I don't particularly ever get offended by since I understand the language, but it just didn't really connect as to its rationale for being inserted. But again, maybe I'm in the minority. Not sure about that. So in the end, I think this album could have easily been one of my top highlights of the year, which is strange for me to say out loud. I don't imagine myself overpraising Jonas Brothers all that much. I don't have any reason to be a hater or to knock them down just because of what their past productions have been. Thing about this album is, like I mentioned before, it feels like they're trying to be mature, but in the way that kind of feels like it's trying to lend credibility in a particular demographic, and I don't really subscribe to that idea. I feel like you should just make good music and not try to appease the idea that you're older gentlemen now. I don't think we need that. I think that you should just make good music and try to allow all audiences to encompass the possibility of you enjoying that music. But we don't need to overcomplicate that now. Let's just wrap it up. So after having listened and reviewed this album, how am I going to recommend this album? I'm going to give it a good. That is way lower than I originally thought I was going to recommend this album. At the beginning, I thought potentially I could have even given it my highest recommendation just because of the energy that this album has. But the little things that I personally don't agree with, and some of the moments where we just don't get sufficient elements added to some of the songs, hinders this album a little bit. And like I mentioned, the song Summer in the Hamptons, that one song alone really tanked the recommendation in this direction. But overall, I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with that. Have at it if you wish. But in my opinion and in my experience, albums can be enjoyed way more the less raunchy you make the songs. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow me in my social media links down in the description below, and be sure to leave a comment down below about what you think I should review next, or any other topics in entertainment you think I could talk about. I'm open to talking about anything. But above all, remember to chase excellence, chase quality, chase yes. Remember, we are your entertainment specialists.